Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. You've got us for the hour, so till 3 o'clock. We don't have any slides to share. So what you have got is four of us to answer any questions that you might have. We're going to do some introductions so you know who we are. Some of you may want to aim some of your questions specifically to one of us. If not, one of us will just sort of jump in and answer. Also got the chat to the to the side of your screen if you want to message us any questions throughout the next hour, and again one of us will answer. So thanks very much. I'm Melissa. I'm head of early careers for UK and Ireland. I've been at Mott MacDonald for a good few years now, and we're about to go live with all of our graduate schemes. So I'm expecting a super busy year. We've got the biggest intake that we've ever had since I've been here. Business is very busy for us, and we're really excited about going live and making lots of job offers. So we do some introductions. So that's me.
Hello, my name is Mubarak Mohammed. I'm a graduate civil engineer with Mott's, and I am working with the Foundations in Geotech subdivision within Mott's, which is within the transportation unit. And I went to Surrey University, did my bachelor's there and a master's as well at Surrey, and then joined in 2019. So it's been just less than 2 years since I've joined as a graduate.
Hi everybody, my name's Ian. I'm a graduate electrical engineer at Mott MacDonald, currently based in the Glasgow office. I studied electrical and mechanical engineering at the University of Strathclyde and did an integrated master's in that there. And I joined last August, so just over a year of working for Mott so far. Cheers.
Hiya, I'm Malika Tank. I'm based in the Cardiff office. I'm an environmental scientist, a graduate. I started last year in September. I went to Cardiff University and did environmental geoscience, and I actually found my way through to Mott MacDonald by doing a summer internship and came back a year later.
So one thing I just want to start by saying is it would be good for Ian to have a quick overview of how he's felt working for Mott MacDonald in 100% virtual world, because you've basically joined when we've done 100% home working. So how's that been for you?
Yeah, so when I joined, everybody was at home, as Melissa says, and it was difficult, but it was made a lot better by my colleagues. You know, I think everyone was still adjusting to working in the virtual world at the time, but I was well looked after. I got sent all my equipment I needed to work from home, and just started. When you start as a graduate with Mott's, you get a buddy. So that's somebody with some experience in the company, usually an older graduate or someone close to you age-wise, who can help you out with any questions you've got. So that was pretty pivotal for me starting. My buddy was really helpful, made me feel very welcome. He was phoning me every day, making sure I was settled in. And then as the years sort of gone on, our offices have started opening up a bit more, and I've actually been able to go into the office, and I've been meeting people in person and really enjoying that. I felt like I knew them before, but it's nice to meet people in person again after that.
So I noticed, it's funny because out of the four of us, only one is in the office. I'll share a bit about my experience. So we have certainly moved back into the world of office working now. Obviously, as you can see, I'm at home still today. We tend to go in on a Tuesday and Thursday. And the reason I asked this question to you, Ian, about the home working is that it's one of our most popular questions at the moment. We have an early careers inbox and we get at least 4 or 5 questions every day about how we adapt into agile working and what's going to be, you know, life going forward once we are hopefully back to normal. So I will answer from a business perspective of how we see that sort of going forward. There'll always be an element of agile working in the sense that you'll always have the right to work from home. It does depend on projects and client work. Of course, we are there to serve clients, and sometimes it means that you do need to be in an office. There might be certain software that you can't access from home, or there might be certain clients that won't allow you to use their software and information outside of the office as well. So that would probably be the two examples. But we certainly have very much moved to a really flexible model of having that, flexibility of being in the office and being at home. My team, as I say, we come in every Tuesday and Thursday. That's just something that we've agreed as a team, and it works really well for us. From certainly my experience of speaking to other people, I'm bumping into the corridor now. Now we're back. Is that some people are setting their day, some people are not, some are very much client driven. It depends on what their clients and what project they're working on. So it's a nice place to be, in the sense that, if you want to go to the gym at lunchtime, if you're at home, then you can. Well, you can still do that in the office as well, but you can do that as well. How about you, Malika? What's your situation? Are you back at all, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty much always back in the office. It's just that I've been isolating for the past week, so I've had to stay at home. But I'm pretty much always in the office. For the Cardiff office, they never properly closed down, so there was always a few people in. And gradually, so I came back properly in February. And gradually there'll be more and more people. It's gone a bit more quiet around summer, but I think that's because people want to stay at home just in case they're going on holiday, be with their family. But yeah, it's definitely getting more vibrant. And then we have sports and social that's coming back up. So we're seeing more people like within your team and outside your team. So yeah, it's getting back to normal, definitely.
And Mubarak, you're in the office. I know that because I saw you in the London office the other day as well.
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to work from Flip Place the other day, so which was nice. So I suppose it would have been a bit more daunting if that was initially before lockdown, because I would have had maybe less experience working from somewhere else. But then now being able to work anywhere I want, I think that made it very easy for me to seamlessly work from another office without feeling a bit too left out. So the integration in terms of communication within projects and with your colleagues and friends within the company is actually been improved. Certainly, it's a lot easier now that one could work, because I remember when I was working from whenever I had a situation where I wanted to work from home prior to lockdown, it used to be a bit more in a position where thinking, oh, could I be as effective? Is it possible? What would I be needing? Would I be able to get hold of this manager or this person to be able to ask questions? But certainly all of that has actually been washed away, because it's easier now to have that conversations. So yeah, definitely this has been a positive thing in terms of agile working and being able to work from anywhere.
Yeah, and I've certainly realised that covering the whole of the UK and Ireland like I do, I've built better relationships with our hiring managers over the last 18 months than I actually ever have over the last 5 years. Cameras are automatically put on with calls now. So you put your camera on and you have a chat, and there's always a dog or a cat or, an auntie in the background, and you just build rapport and you build relationships. And, I think it's been absolutely great from that point of view. You're never going to beat that personal interaction. On Tuesday, we had a wider talent acquisition meeting. So there was around about 20 of us in some premises in London. And it was absolutely amazing to see other colleagues that I haven't seen for 18 months. It was really, really nice. But you do sort of feel like you've been seeing these people the whole time, because I've been on camera with them, every other day we're having conversations. So it's different. It's a different way of working, but it's certainly a way that we've adapted as a business. I think just being realistic that we can't come in and say, do you know what, I only want to come in 1 day a week because I quite like working from home. That's not going to be our business model going forward. It will be, there is that option of flexibility and agile working, but actually it is a business need that we would need to be in the office for a certain part of our time. But again, we want to have that face to face. And you guys starting your first jobs, I don't think anybody probably really wants to sit on their bedside table, looking at a laptop with no colleagues around them. So I want to open the floor up to any questions, or if there's any topics that people want us to specifically cover, pop in the chat and we can start some conversations. But I didn't have anything else in terms of items that I was going to bring up unless you guys wanted us to. We're just going to wait for the first person.
I think there's quite a few questions now popped in.
Yeah, I've just looked on that. I'll make a start. So we've got one. Do you have any internships placements for mechatronic engineers next summer? Yes, we certainly do. So we go live tomorrow is our go live date. We have approximately 100 vacancies for next year. It's a very small proportion, that discipline, but we certainly do. If you're flexible on locations, then the more opportunities there's going to be. Another one, currently a civil structural undergraduate with my year in industry coming up. What opportunities are available and what could I do to maximise my chances of being selected? So yes, same situation. A year in industry graduate or a year in industry program goes live tomorrow as well. One thing I always say is that people say to us, you must get so many people apply. Yes, we do. But you know what? The good ones always stand out. We get lots of people applying that have spelling mistakes, typos, one-word answers, wrong company names. And that sounds really basic, but I promise you the numbers of applications we see, putting in a good quality application that's tailored to us, that really shows your passion of why you want to work for us, that is going to get us to look at your application. We don't look at any previous experience now, actually. I mean, of course, that's great and you can draw down on lots of things that you learned from those, but actually we look at everybody from that sort of level playing field and really get excited when we look at a really nice application form where someone's really put their heart and soul into it. What does it take to join Mott MacDonald, and what are you guys look for in each person? That's a bit of a broad question, isn't it? What does it take? Difficult question. You have to obviously apply online. We have a 4-stage process with our applications, and that is to sit our online assessment, which is about 30 minutes. That assessment is essentially looking at your skills and making sure that you meet a minimum standard. So it's essentially testing your skills that we've identified as key to be successful in our business. It's a nice assessment. It's literally half an hour. And on successful completion of that, you're asked to sit an application form. So as I mentioned in the question before, actually, it's about taking that time and effort. There's nothing specific we're looking for, which is a funny thing to say, because actually we have lots of vacancies here. We have quite high volume. We have lots of different streams, lots of different offices, lots of different locations. So it's really just about you making that effort to research the organisation and putting your application in that shows that you really want to work for us. Next question. Sorry, they're all at me at the moment, aren't they? I'm sure you guys are going to have your go in a minute. Summer placements also go live tomorrow as well. So as you can see, it's a very, very busy week for us. As a civil engineer now entering 3rd year at Brighton, would it be beneficial to do a BEng and an MSc at a better university, or an MEng at Brighton? Yes, our intake, 99% of our intake is masters, and whether that would be an MSc or an MEng integrated program wouldn't actually make any difference unless your masters is in a very specific subject. Now, obviously, we look at other universities outside of the Russell Group now. So my advice would be, I wouldn't worry about specifically going to a better university if Brighton suits you, your home life, your financial situation. You're not going to be disadvantaged because you go to that university over a higher tier. Mubarak, did you have something? Because you look like you're nodding there.
Yeah, certainly, because this is yeah, pretty much around the corner from me. But certainly, in terms of whether to go for a better university, as Melissa's already mentioned, except you're going for a niche, maybe a niche role, then certainly having a broad MEng is good enough, even for career progression. Having a minimum of an MEng is absolutely fine. MSc fine as well. We do have people coming in with maybe even higher qualifications and still applying for graduate opportunities because of how good the scheme is. So essentially, at the end of the day, it's really having that minimum of MEng just to support your career progression. Not saying that a BEng is not. I mean, we do take up with BEng as well, but certainly, I believe MEng for career progression is ideal. But yeah, if you've got maybe a certain course that you'd want to specialize in, and your university, Brighton, does not provide that, I would certainly advise you probably go with that. But apart from it, if you're comfortable at Brighton, I don't see any reason why not.
I would say as well, just around about the bachelor's and masters, of course, I'll use the civil as an example because that was the question. To become a chartered engineer, if you don't have a master's, it takes probably 4 times as long to become chartered. You have to be able to demonstrate with work examples. So it does take a lot longer. So with a master's qualification, you can start working, and you can sign off objectives with the ICE now while you're studying. But it's a much longer route. Hence why it's a much more desirable for us to recruit graduates with masters. It's not out of the question, but it is something that definitely would disadvantage you if you do have a bachelor's over a master's. Any of the 3 on the panel working towards chartership at the moment?
Yeah, I am anyway. I've not started my application, but I'm working towards chartership with the IET. So I was a student member while I was studying. As Melissa says, you can start logging things while you're studying, but I didn't do that. And then when I joined Mott's, I got encouraged to join up with them as a graduate, and you get signed a mentor in the company, or I did anyway, and they can help you with your chartership kind of journey, if you like. So I've had a lot of advice already in the first year on the kind of activities I should be doing. Maybe I should ask for work in different areas to vary my experience, all to build up towards my chartership. So yeah, it's good.
There's a question there for you, Malika, around the summer placement. Do you want me to read it, or can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. So it's, how did you manage to get a summer placement? Do you have any tips for the application for the summer placement? And do you know if there are any placements for the next summer? So I think we usually have a few summer placement roles come out each year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa.
Yeah.
But so I think in terms of the office you want, that varies, because I think there's only specific offices that need them. But so I was in environment, and I think they're quite keen to have summer placements purely because we're quite close to the ecologists as well. So the ecologists go out, and summer's normally quite a busy time for them. So they always need extra help to go out and do the surveys, which is quite good to kind of ease yourself into the environmental sector. I think the summer placement was really good for me because I was there for 2 months. I kind of saw what Mott was like. My boss was like, you can see it as a 2-month interview. So you get to see what if Mott's is your fit for you, and they get to see if you're fit for Mott's as well. So it's both way around. So I definitely think that a summer placement was really, really helpful for me. Originally, I was on the integrated masters, but my boss said that for environmental consulting, you don't need to have a master's. So he recommended me not to do one and join the next year following. But I know that's completely different for geotech and engineering. So I don't think that's for everyone. But yeah, for me, I did a BSc, and then later down the line, if I find a specific subject that I'm interested, then I can go and do a master's and then strengthen Mott's portfolio.
That's a really good example, actually, that you've had a placement and you've kind of shown how great you are, and they've then said, you know, come back as a graduate. I think our advice is to people that haven't had that experience is that, you know, it's really difficult when you're competing, because most of us, I'd say 99% of our intake is masters now, but it just goes to show how powerful summer placements are and how strong your connections you make in that 2 months. As I mentioned earlier, we do have over 100 internships for next summer across most offices in the UK. Of course, the bigger the office, the more placements we have. I mean, we've got a tiny office at Scotland somewhere. Is it Lerwick? I think we might have one placement there. But, you know, down into like Croydon, Manchester's, Bristol, Brighton, you know, we have several placements available. There's another question there. Is there any cybersecurity? Do you mean, do we do cybersecurity, or do we have cyber graduate scheme? Perhaps you can elaborate on that question. Yes, we do defence work. Are there any people working entirely from the office? Absolutely. If you feel that's going to be beneficial to you and you want to be in the office 5 days a week, absolutely. We have the ability to be in the office every day because not everybody has a nice space to work from home. One of the new requirements will be when we do have every office open at full capacity, because most of them are not at full capacity at the moment because of social distancing. It will actually be a requirement that you have a separate space to work from. You have enough room for a second screen. You have all the tools that you need to be able to, you know, efficiently work, and you're not hindered in any way. A lot of students and, you know, new grads, you know, you don't come in and have a lovely office at the back to work in. You may be sharing a room, and, you know, as long as you've got a space in the corner of your room where you can have a desk, then that's the thing that they'll be looking for. So you can't not have a desk, if that makes sense. You can't be sitting, you know, working off your bed, laying down, having a nap halfway through your call. So there will be some requirements, but yeah, absolutely to be able to work in the office every day. There's one more question, I think, around chemical engineers. We take chemical engineers, a few, not massive intake on chemical engineers. The areas that they mainly go into are railways. So we take chemical engineers going into railways program. So that would be under the mechanical engineering scheme. And we also take chemical engineers into our process engineering. However, for the 2022 intake, at this stage, as in terms of going live tomorrow, we don't have any process engineering roles going live. Our vacancies potentially will change as we go through the cycle. That will essentially mean that we are increasing the numbers or the disciplines. So it's worthwhile keep looking back on the website. I don't think there's any more questions on there. I don't think I've missed any.
You can scroll up, Melissa, and the new ones are above the ones we've answered.
Oh, there you go. That one's for the panel. Some exciting projects.
Shall I go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I work in energy, power transmission and distribution kind of area. And the big thing in power right now is renewables, as I'm sure most of you are aware. So when I joined, we were just all go and still are with various different renewable projects. So one of the projects I worked on is wind farm extensions for one of the local wind farms near Glasgow. So that's designing the layout of all the turbines, battery storage, things like that. Really kind of keeping up with the times in terms of the type of work we're doing, and staying at the front. So you're always doing something interesting. The kind of stuff you read about in engineering magazines and that's the kind of stuff that we're doing, in my experience anyway.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, some of the exciting projects, also the potential of working on projects overseas. And I think that's very exciting because you're pretty much collaborating with people that are not necessarily local. And sometimes it may come with its challenges, thinking about maybe time zone differences and stuff like that. And yeah, maybe also to do with design codes and stuff like that, where when you're liaising with them and having that those kind of conversations as regards to your design approaches within different from different perspectives in terms of design codes used on projects. So yeah, definitely these are some of the things. And then one of the example was Kuwait International Airport that I worked on, which the designer wanted, the client wanted us to basically design using American standard codes rather than the Euro codes that we're used to. So these are some of the exciting things, and obviously, yeah.
I've mainly been working on HS2 on various different things, but yeah, that's mainly what I've been working for. It can be quite exciting at times because we always get different issues that we wouldn't normally get because it's such a large scheme and we're working with so many people. But another thing I want to highlight, which is kind of to do with the overseas jobs, is that we also do EFOD, which is volunteering to create in Uganda. So I know quite a few engineers go out to Uganda and help out with design works. I believe they're working on a school recently. So yeah, there's definitely opportunities for volunteering as well.
I think one of the questions actually, Malika, was for you too, around about what placements, on your placement, what projects were you sort of exposed to?
So I was mainly with the ecology team doing surveys in Llandilo for the Llandilo bypass. Other than that, I was helping out with the South Wales metro scheme and doing some desk studies with that. So I was given quite a few different kind of roles and jobs, which was, yeah, it was very good for like to see different elements of environment as well. It wasn't just stuck on one job and one skill. It was quite a few different skills I gained.
Is Melissa still here?
I think she's dropped off.
Yeah, I think Melissa's gone. She'll probably be back in terms of, it's probably a network or something.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go down maybe the list whilst?
Yeah, I'll put lists.
Oh, there you go. She's back. Fair enough.
Strange. I had an alert that said, you're somebody's logged into your device by some other connection. So sorry about that. I'm back. I can still hear you though. So I think there's another question around the HS2. When you say working on HS2, what exactly is your work? Is it electrical work or mechanical work?
So me personally, because I'm an environmental consultant, I do more contaminated land because there's quite a few issues with that in Birmingham. So I've been working on that and also doing consenting to make sure the designs we're doing matches the environmental standards and all things like that. So in terms of an engineering point of view, I don't really do too much of that.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of the questions again. I've got a bachelor's in mechanical engineer and will graduate this winter with an MSc in sustainable energy. I've seen a role, graduate renewable engineer, and I'm wondering what kind of projects and opportunities there may be in the jobs related. I'm not sure about that particular role. Have we lost somebody again?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So sustainable energy with mechanical engineering, yep. Again, vacancies go live tomorrow. So all of our specific roles are advertised within the career paths. So when this question is graduating this winter, I'm assuming that's an overseas university because all of our universities graduate in June or September. So it'd be interesting to see what you're actually studying there. International, sorry,
I think in terms of projects, on the Mott's website, they do have quite a few projects that they've been working on. So if you're curious, you can have a look, and they're all there.
There's a question around. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we seem to be dropping off one by one. So hopefully Malika will be back soon.
International students, yes, we apply for the new skilled worker visa that will support your indefinite, well, counts towards your indefinite leave to remain. We actually don't bring graduates in on their graduate visas. We'll pay for you to have a skilled worker. If you stay on your 2-year graduate visa, it doesn't count towards your indefinite leave to remain, which I think is important to a lot of people if they want to stay in the UK long term. We were just saying, Malika, that we're taking it in turns to drop off. Oh. This is a good example of the technology that we've all had to, manage over the last 18 months. And all of you that are on the call that have had virtual delivery for your last year and a half of university, you're probably all used to it as well. So we'll carry on.
Sorry about that.
I think we're just taking it in turns to leave. For the placement year opportunity for mechanical engineering, can you still apply whilst you're on a BEng course? Yes, you absolutely can, because we do appreciate that actually a lot of people do a sandwich placement. They'll then graduate with a BEng and they'll then go on to do an MSc. Sometimes what happens is they'll come back from the placement and stay on the MEng course, and they won't graduate. They'll graduate once they get the MEng. So actually, if you're doing a BEng applying for an industrial placement, you're not at a disadvantage, because we appreciate that actually a lot can change between your industrial placement year and actually finishing university. Open placement universities tomorrow. I've just finished an MSc in geophysical hazards, and I've just completed a BSc in geology. I've never seen that MSc. Have anyone on the panel seen that before? I also gained experience working as a summer intern in the geotechnical department for an engineering company. Would I be able to apply for a graduate geotechnical engineering scheme? Yes, you would. Yeah, Mubarak's nodding there. Yes, we do. They go live tomorrow.
I think this is a very interesting one. What makes Mott MacDonald special to you compared to other companies? What do you like most about it? I think initially for me with Mott's, it was about the initials while I was at uni. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
My house alarm is going off. I'm just going to be 1 second.
Okay. So I think first of all, it was just my initials. I realized that I have got the same initials at Mott's, but then when I was in my first year, I had very little clue with regards to what engineering was in entirety. So it's excusable, but certainly in terms of I think the level of training that you do get as a graduate and support that you do get as a graduate on the scheme is actually what made it definitely special for me. And yeah, certainly I had already that resolve that I wanted to work also for a consultant rather than a contractor. So I think that helped as well.
Yeah, I think for me it was the people. I've yet to meet somebody I don't like in the company after a year, which I think is quite amazing. I think Melissa might be able to speak more to this, but a big part of hiring is making sure you're a fit for the team. And it's you definitely get the impression that although we have lots of different teams across the country, it's the same sort of people that get hired, and it feels like one team when you're on all the calls with anyone from all over the country and internationally as well. So yeah, that's the main thing for me, because I have worked other places in summer placements, and there's always somebody you don't get on with, or somebody you think, oh, but yeah, it's been a year and I've still to meet somebody like that. So
I think that's a good example, because of being an employee-owned company. While graduates join and are obviously not shareholders when they join, you're actually working for an organisation that doesn't have external shareholders, that is doing projects, making decisions for the best of the staff, because the staff are shareholders. So actually, we do nice projects, we do things that we want to do, and of course they have to be commercially viable, they have to be commercially profitable. But actually, we want to do projects that sounds cheesy, that that we want to do, that is the right thing to do. We have certain countries that we won't work in for corruption reasons, and I really do feel that it's hard to kind of express the benefits of an employee-owned company. But I think, Ian, perhaps that was a good example, that everybody's quite nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing that I love about Mott's is that it feels like a community, and it feels like quite a family. And I think everyone at Mott's, we all have like a common goal of trying to do our best and perform the best for the client. And I'm not saying that we're all the same, we're actually all quite different, and we bring different things to the team, but together as a whole, it somehow just works.
Absolutely. There's a question there for you, Mubarak, around what is engineering. Glad you mentioned that. I think that might have been your previous comment.
Absolutely. For me, engineering, definitely, this is just, I suppose, problem solving, to be honest, because when you look at, for example, civil engineering in particular, and you look at how that helps to shape pretty much the society and the civilization that we live in, ranging from things to do with providing you clean water to making sure your waste goes to the right places through the right channels. Definitely, it's just problem solving. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what engineering is for me.
So we've got a question around overseas. So are there opportunities to work overseas with a company-sponsored visa? I think we just need a little bit of elaboration on that. Would that be for students that already work for us? Is that the question? Because we have graduate schemes outside of the UK and Ireland, yes. Those schemes, you do have to have the right to work in those countries. So, for example, we have a USA graduate scheme, but you'd need to have an American citizenship to work there. We don't provide visas. If the question is around, can you work overseas if you work for the UK? Yes, it's very random in terms of how long you'd have to wait for an opportunity to go overseas. The reason I say that is because it really depends on the client and the project. If we're bidding for work and the client will dictate that they want certain years experience, or they want chartered people, or they very much dictate, and our bid work is around putting together who would actually work on those projects. I've spoken to so many people that we've recruited over the years, and it really is one extreme to the other. I've had somebody that went to somewhere in the Caribbean. We were doing some port work in the Caribbean, and I think he went there literally in like his 5th week or something. I mean, that's probably very unheard of. But then I spoke to other people that have worked here for 6 years and never had that opportunity. So I think if it's something you're really passionate about, it really is putting your hand up and looking for those opportunities. As we all know, opportunities don't fall in your lap. You have to go out and get them.
And sorry, Melissa, just to add an example as well along that line, I had a colleague who was an intern and working for I think it was the year in the industry, so for a full year. And as a student at that point, they got the opportunity to work abroad. So she went all the way to Australia and had a few months in Australia after she'd had some months here as well. So you do have those opportunities, as Melissa's mentioned. It's just down to maybe you pushing at some point, and obviously maybe that coinciding with the project you're working on.
Yeah. We've got a very quiet audience, haven't we? I like the way everyone's putting in the chat. No one's actually speaking. You can speak as well if you want to, but if you feel more comfortable in the chat, that's fine. I'm really sorry I missed when you answered the question, when would the graduate schemes open? All tomorrow. and any recommendations to those who intend to apply for an engineering graduate scheme. So recommendations is don't panic to get your application in tomorrow. Closing date is the 14th of November. We pull candidates at the end of that period. So please don't panic and think you've got, the weekend to do your application. You've got plenty of time. Are there visa requirements for working abroad? If there are, we would deal with them as a company. I'm really sorry. Okay, I've just answered that. So I've just begun my master's in commercial management and quantity surveying. After finishing my BSc in civil engineering, I'd be probably graduating in September 22. So am I eligible to apply for the upcoming placement? Yes, you absolutely are. But my recommendation would be is that you actually apply for the graduate scheme. Because what potentially could happen is while you're finishing your MSc, you can actually start your graduate job with us. So my recommendation would be just to apply straightforward for a grad role. If you apply for a summer internship program, what happens is the graduate roles are offered. By the time you finish your placement, absolutely there is a possibility that you can stay on. However, if those roles are finished and they purely don't have the capacity for any more graduates in that team, then they wouldn't be able to keep you on. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, there's a bit one here about cybersecurity, pen testing, ethical hacking. Not something I can answer. Can anyone else answer that? We don't have graduate schemes in that area, but I don't know if we actually do that as a business.
I'm not sure either, no.
Ahmed, I can take that question away after this session and answer that for you. Looks like none of us can answer that one. There's not many questions that we as a group can't normally answer, but if you want to email me separately, I'm sure my email will be provided. I'll be happy to answer that one. Do we have any management technology consultancy roles opening tomorrow? Yes, we do. Yeah, they all go live midnight tonight. Hopefully our website won't crash when everyone rushes to get onto the site. I don't think I've missed any questions unless any of you can see any that I've missed.
So on the graduate scheme, how much support do you get? How many graduates are assigned to a supervisor? Do you feel like there is a good balance of support and independence? So in terms of maybe what in terms of what I do get for my career progression, because I am a graduate member of the ICE, so I'm trying to get chartered through ICE as a civil engineer. So I do get a DE. So that's one person who might be supervising also another maybe 2 or 3 other people, but certainly in my case there are only 2 people to that person. So it may differ depending on the availability of the DEs and also the amount of graduates available to do that.
There's a question around where's Mott MacDonald based. We have around 35 offices in the UK. I guess the most simplest way to say is most major cities in the UK has an office. We also are in Ireland as well. So we've got Dublin and Cork and Northern Ireland, of course, which is obviously under the United Kingdom. So that's Belfast. I'll answer the question around what makes Mott MacDonald special to you. I think probably everybody will agree to this. It's the people, isn't it? It's a really nice culture. We've adapted really well as a business with COVID. Everybody's sick to death of it. We just want to get our normal life back, but actually we've adapted. We're progressing well, and it's just a nice group of people to work with. So that's what makes it special to me. And while I've been here for many years, why I don't find it difficult to, sell our graduate jobs to prospective candidates that, it genuinely is a really great place to work. Any interview related tips? So we have a strength-based interview format at Mott MacDonald. We don't do competency-based. Little bit of rationale behind that is around about making sure that everybody's been given the same opportunities. Some students don't have an opportunity to have a summer placement and to have experience. They have had to have, a paid job that they've had for the last 4 years that's not related to their subject. I think with the interview, with a strength-based process, that is looking at what you're good at, and more importantly, it's looking at what you potentially could be good at. What skills can you develop that you could be good at in the future? A competency-based environment is looking at drawing down on your previous experience, and if you don't have much experience, it can be quite unfair to people that have been given more opportunity. And that does go back to that fair and inclusive, students that have come from perhaps underprivileged backgrounds that have not had that opportunity. So it's a strength-based format. There's no preparation needed, apart from your usual looking at, the website and understanding us as a business and having some knowledge around some of the projects and our values and our pride values, more importantly. But actually it's more about answering in a very, very honest way, competency-based questioning. You can Google and come up with various answers, and we want people to be really, really honest. We recruit, I think Malika summed it up really, really well. We're all really different, and that's what makes it a really successful workplace. Everybody's very different. So with the interview tips, it's more around just doing your preparation, learning from the website, understanding us as a business, and knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your areas for weakness, knowing your qualifications, knowing everything about yourself, because some people forget. They come to an interview and they forget, because you're under pressure of an interview. Bring notes, make notes. Just do as much preparation as you can without, Googling what should I say in an interview. Hopefully that helps a little bit. How many civil placements do you give per year? I'm assuming that's a year out industrial, about 25, because we have obviously mechanical, electrical, environmental, so about 25. Advice for recruitment regards to like online interview and what to say and how to behave. I'll give you a good example. Is trying to be as professional as you can, even if you're your home environment. Now, I've just had my house alarm go off. There's nothing we can do about that. That's out of my hands. But we did do an interview the other day, and this candidate was sitting in their bed with no blurred background, and the bed was unmade, straw and clothes all over it. And if you don't have any other space to go to, that's absolutely fine. But, to tidy up your space, make it look professional, make it look clear. And I think it's sort of behaving as you would in the workplace, but you're just at home. I'm not doing anything different. I wouldn't be sort of sitting in my work desk in my office with my clothes stored all over it. So don't do that at home. So I think, just trying to adapt and think about how you want people to remember you. What do you want them to say about you after that call? So it's trying to be as professional as you can, but it's also about, getting across what you can bring to the organisation. We want people that can, strive and be successful and be our future leaders. So it's about making sure that you can, demonstrate that in your interview. And what's an amazing engineering cover letter? Well, you'll be really pleased to know we don't want you to do one. So save you the job. Some people still feel like they need to do one. Don't waste your time. We very much want everybody to be given the same kind of format, and that means if some people do anything extra at the beginning of our application process, we don't look at it. All we're looking at is the interview, the application questions, and we're comparing them like for like. It makes it much fairer. It rules out any unconscious bias. That's one of the reasons we remove CVs. Is sometimes you'll look at a CV and you might like the way it looks and it's laid out. There might be a photo on there. You might like that they're part of the rowing team. It's all unconscious bias that creeps in. We've ruled that out here, and it's been absolutely fantastic, because it means that, you know, we're recruiting everybody from all different types of backgrounds, and that's what makes us a successful business. You know, we don't want everybody to be from the rowing team, and so it's just making sure that you're only asked to do and only sort of do the bits that you're asked to do. Someone's asked a question about the training scheme. Would one of you like to take that? Once you start the graduate scheme, what's the training like?
So the graduate scheme is kind of based around training you your kind of, I don't know, do you call it your soft skills, like team working, presentations, things like that. In terms of technical training, that will be handled in-house by your team. So you learn directly from the more experienced people you're working with, and who do work on the same projects as you in more senior roles. So I've not had any formal technical training at all. I've just been thrown straight into working on a project and getting the support I need to learn to do the job I'm doing as I go. And in my experience, the training just comes in the form of asking questions when you need to ask questions, and you always get an answer. That's my perspective on it anyway.
And that's a very good point you've made, Ian. And on top of that, I think also you do have sometimes, as projects would probably demand, maybe software trainings that come along with it. Maybe there would be technical, maybe trainings as well, in terms of maybe explanation of concepts and stuff like that from first principles. So I suppose they all add up, but certainly it would be mostly in-house if you're looking at the technical training.
I think it's also important to highlight that if you want to gain a skill in a certain area, if you tell your line manager, they'll be really helpful and they'll support you in that as well. So if you want to say that you want to do if you want to say know how to do ArcGIS better, they'll probably put some money towards you trying to do that, or find a scheme or something. So yeah, make sure that you communicate with your line manager as well on top of that.
I'm just going through and answering some of these questions, just so you've got a record of, just in case some of them missed some of the answers. How common is it for companies to focus less on prior experience? Is this just for graduate schemes? I've only ever worked in early careers. I've had a 16-year career in early careers, not just at Mott MacDonald, but I've only ever done early careers. And we don't really focus on prior experience. I can't comment on whether that's for experienced hire, but we do look at what you can bring to us now you have your degree, and what you can be good at in the future. So while your previous experience is of course great, it's great to have. You've got lots of skills that you can develop from those previous experiences, but it's not something that's going to hinder you if you don't have it. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left. Very quiet bunch. Do you guys require knowledge of any programs such as Civil 3D or DMRB? Mubarak's nodding there. We don't look at that on the application form, but is that something standard in a civil degree?
Yeah, I mean, we do have certain maybe programs that would be of help to you if you do start with maybe as a graduate civil engineer or within the team here. But certainly most of these software or programs that you'd see, you pretty much have to pick up anyways whilst you're working here. So because you may have maybe a couple of them coming in, but then you'd have to pick up a couple more or more than that over your stay here. So certainly they're not mandatory, but it'll be good for yourself to have some of them.
So this is not a common question we have. What's a regular day in the life? Do you all want to? We've got 5 minutes left. Given all, what did you do yesterday? Let's roll with that. What did you all do yesterday? What was your day like yesterday at work?
So yesterday I was working out on site, doing a survey of some high voltage equipment at a local water pumping station. So good example of the kind of flexible working thing we've got going on. It wasn't going to take the whole day, so I worked for an hour in the morning at my desk at home, and then I went and got a lift from my colleague in a car he'd hired, and we went out to the site. We did our survey, had lunch together at a wee cafe, came back and worked the rest of the day at home. That's quite a typical day for me at the moment because I'm doing quite a few surveys, so it's good.
Malika, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I'll say a typical day because usually I'm in the office. So I drive into the office. We have a car park there, so I park there, and I start my day at 8 o'clock. I work for a couple of hours, then I have a nice coffee break, chat to some people, then I get back to work until lunchtime where all the team goes out and we have a walk just to get some fresh air, and then we come back. And now the communal space is open now, so we have lunch together. And that's normally the time when all the different teams like mingle with each other. And then after that, you work, maybe have one more coffee break, and then go back home at 4:30.
So Malika, do you do slightly different hours then? Is that because you want to do those hours?
Yeah, so I basically have been told that I can do my hours whenever I want. So I do know another person who actually gets all their hours done in 4 days and they have Friday off. So I'm not sure if that's typical, and it depends on what you're working on, because sometimes you'll be expected to be on site on Friday, say. So, and if you have to do overtime, you can do more hours in 1 week and then take the time off in another week, and take that as holiday. So yeah, it's quite flexible, I find. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The flexibility, absolutely. I had to take my car because my window broke yesterday, and it was raining. So I had to take the car to the garage. I dropped it off at 9, and I was online at 9:20. And I don't have to think, I better wait for the weekend. There's lots of flexibility. I think probably most of the people on the call are used to that flexibility now, though, with being at university and managing your own time. It's more about being sensible, managing your own time. You're completely trusted. You don't have to earn. You don't have to earn trust. You're just trusted. You don't have to prove that you're going to be a good worker, that you're trusted from the beginning. That's why you've been recruited, because you've done really well in the interview process, and that we are all adults and that we are here to manage our own time and do a good job. So I'm going to provide an email contact if you want to ask further questions. I think we're out of time. So thank you to the panel. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for everybody coming along. We will be doing various virtual and some face-to-face delivery for this cycle. So that's in the next 2 months. We will have something on our website that will show the events that we're attending, but I will share my email or the early careers inbox for you to ask any more questions. But thank you so much for your time. Lovely. I say it's lovely to see you all. We didn't actually see anybody, but we saw lots of little heads at the top of our screen. Thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.